Galela Oil has the capability to recognize a virus on the whole body, not only on a certain part. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the short lesson on Galela Oil. At first, I want to point out that I am not a salesman of Galela Oil and that my interest is not to sell you the product. My interest is to explain you the high efficacy of Galela Oil. To understand this, I want to make a short excursion. Life has started with one cell. Then there was the second and the third cell. And finally, the cells decided to build a complex. When they have decided to build such a complex, they have had to establish certain systems of communication. Means they have to establish a process to communicate, to give signals from one cell to the other cell, to transport products from one cell to the other cell. Means they have had to develop a nervous system and a transport system called blood vessels. Finally, they have had to develop as well a headquarter. So this headquarter is our brain today. Though we have to consider mainly the cells, their communication, and the headquarter, the brain. The high efficacy of Galela Oil is based on the balance, or we call it in scientific language, on the homeostasis of all these different systems. Let us have a short look in the system of the cell. A cell is like a city with the whole infrastructure of a city. And if we build a complex, we have to consider that two cities are communicating together. Means we need for the communication of these two cities, number one, a quick communication, a telephone system, we need to know the area codes and so on, and we need a transport system, means we need railways, highways for the transport of products. We consider now at first point our telephone system. The telephone system you can compare with the cell itself. The cell has one big secret. Like each city, it has the headquarter of the Lord Mayor. In this headquarter of the Lord Mayor, all the citizens are registered with all their personal details. So all this is registered in the cell, and we call this part of the cell nucleus. The software in this nucleus is called DNA, desoxynucleic acid, or as a precursor, ribonucleic acid. This DNA is containing all the informations of the cell. You must imagine a cell has not an eternal life. A cell has only a certain lifespan and has to be reproduced. So all the reproduction secrets are saved in this DNA. So such a DNA is existing out of 4 amino acids. We call them adenine, cytosine, thymine, and guanine. And it's like a couple, man and woman. Adenine is always going with the guanine, and thymine is always going with the cytosine. So this A and this G, or this T and this C, are together married. And the marriage ring of these two atoms is a H atom, a hydrogen atom. So you can imagine this hydrogen atom has a certain influence because it's binding with a certain strength, the A to a G and the C to a D and T and vice versa. If something with this strength is not working, like between the couple, the sex, or the love, or the respect, then it's breaking. Or you can compare it with a bridge. If the pylon is not strong enough, the bridge is breaking down and it comes to a catastrophe. Several of these, we call them chains, A, G, C, T, are building together a unit, and they are coding for something special. They are coding, by example, for brown skin color, or for a white skin color, or they are coding for eye color, and so on. They have all the secrets stored. You must imagine now as well, this has to be copied. Each copying process has risks. One risk can be that the sequence of these AGs or of these CTs is copied in a wrong way. That there is a AG and then it's coming a CT. Normally would come now another AG or a GA and then a TC. But now in the copying process, it's coming after a AG, not a CT, it's coming a TC. So we have already a wrong copy. And several genes together are called genome. So if this genome is now expressing something else, you will have a mistake in the master plan, and the factory to which this master plan is supplied will produce a wrong product. In our practical case, it means there will exist or will come up now a disease, because the product which is produced in the replication process is not in accordance with the product which, by example, the liver cell wants to have normally. Now there is coming a wrong cell which is not in accordance with the production plan at all of the liver. So the liver will develop a dysfunction, or the same with any other organ.
Galela Immune Boosting Oil is your trusted source of healing, the African way. Fight against the autoimmune attacks such as cancer, HIV, COVID-19, diabetes, asthma, arthritis, and more. Galela.
So this video landed in your inbox. Yes, it is the Queen Mother herself talking about Galela products. I used them just yesterday. It's working wonders for me. I feel healthy. I feel excellent. I don't feel sick. I feel energetic. Why not buy the product? It's trending on Twitter. It's a local product. It's done by one of our own. If you want a testimonial, please call me 068-135-1196. I love you lots. Get yourself Galela products. Goodbye. God bless.
So that's a very, very important process. As I want to repeat once more, from the chain to the genome, it's a risk factor number one. It can be copied one part only wrong. But it can be as well intentionally copied, a certain sequence of chants in a wrong way, by intention. Yeah? Like a thief is going in a storage and is stealing something or is exchanging a product. Even in this case, a wrong genome will come out and a wrong product will exist, means a wrong cell will come out, and we have once more coming up a disease. This process of copying is controlled. We have certain ladies, we call them chaperones, who are controlling this process, like watchmen. Now, if a watchman is sleeping, there can come up a wrong copy. If a watchman is not taking care of intention, a copy can be made purposely wrong. So in both cases, a disease may come out. Now let me explain you the function of Galela oil. Galela oil is keeping the attention of this watchman. It is avoiding that this watchman starts to sleep or goes outside his control room not controlling. Galela oil is controlling the copying process, and there its role starts already, a very important role. Now let us look to the communication of these different cells. I explained you, the communication is taking part by transmitting signals. The signals are transmitted by nerves. So the nerve must have, number one, a certain speed in the transmission, and must have, number two, certain messages to transmit the signal. It's like a stimulus and a response. Let us consider at first the speed of the signal. The speed of the signal is depending mainly on a certain material surrounding the inner nerve fiber. We call this material myelin. This material is in certain diseases damaged and cannot guarantee anymore a high transmission of the nerve signal. By example, in multiple sclerosis, this myelin is damaged and cannot develop anymore, as we call it, a saltatoric effect to increase the speed. You can imagine from the brain down to your toe, it's a long way, and the speed has to be increased, that the signal is arriving in milliseconds from the brain to the toe. So that's number one, the influence of Galela oil on your nervous system. Galela oil is safeguarding the myelin. And by safeguarding the myelin, Galela oil is coordinating and is keeping the speed of signal transmission. If a signal transmission is too slow, by example, you cannot move in the right way, you cannot react quick enough. If you hear a noise, you want to develop a reaction, and you cannot develop this reaction if the signal is not arriving in due time. Number two, a signal is transmitted by certain messages. We have inside the nerve fiber certain messages running from A to B. By example, your body temperature is getting too high, though you start to sweat. The sweating has the function to cool your body temperature at the skin down. So if the signal is not coming with the right messenger, then you will not start to sweat. So what Galela Oil is doing, it is influencing all these messages to work in the right way. That's the second, which we called homeostasis effect of Galela Oil. It is guaranteeing the transmission of nerve signals with the right speed and in due time, and it is balancing the messages that they are in the right level, in the right quantity, and that they are influencing the right reaction of your body. The third way I told already, your decisions are received by the brain and they are released by the brain. So your brain must receive a certain signal. And the signal which your brain is receiving is, by example, a pain. Pain is very healthy for us, because pain is telling us something is going wrong on a certain place. You feel pain in the stomach, you know, oh, something is going wrong with my stomach. Or you feel pain on a muscle, you know, on this muscle something is going wrong. And if you don't have this feeling, if we don't have this pain, that's why I told pain is healthy in a certain way, then we may suffer. Imagine now, by example, an Alzheimer patient has a very delayed pain perception. Though an Alzheimer patient is going under a shower, the shower is too hot, his skin will be burned before he feels any pain. So he will have a damage. Or imagine you are drinking a hot coffee and you don't get the warning signal of pain on your tongue, and you continue drinking. Or there are certain diseases which are causing so-called pain blockages. These people are not feeling pain at all. So this can be really end up in a disaster. Now our brain is taking this brain signal and is sending out a signal. I repeat, the signal is sent in a certain speed. We have to consider the myelin, and the signal has sent by certain messages like hormones, like adrenaline, noradrenaline, serotonin. We have a lot of such messages. So now the signal has to be received in the brain. It means, if I give you, by example, an injection with blue color, your muscles, at least your body inside, will be colored blue, not your brain, because this blue color cannot pass the so-called blood-brain threshold. We have in our blood vessels in the brain a certain inside coverage, we call it interna in the blood vessel, and through this interna, not all messages can go out. So the brain is not receiving the signal. Galela oil, and that's the big secret of Galela oil, is passing this blood-brain threshold. Means Galela oil can start its high efficacy already in the brain. And that's very important, because through passing this brain blood threshold, Galela oil can say inside the brain and can correct inside the brain already certain commands which have to be sent to the body or to other body cells. I give you a practical example. If someone has a memory loss, like a dementia, it cannot interpretate the right signal or the signal received in the brain in the right way in due time anymore. Now Galela oil is influencing certain parts in the brain where the signal is received in the cortex or in the limbic system or in other systems inside the brain, and to activate it in a quick way. That's another secret of Galela oil and its high efficacy, that it can pass the brain-blood or the blood-brain threshold and to allow the brain to make a right evaluation and to make a right decision, to send the right messengers with the right speed to the right part of the body.
When the virus comes home,
He's trying to dodge food.
Corona found the product. The product did not find Corona.
I'm Dr. Bulato. Here's your Galela oil.
Oh, yeah.
Please take it. It's life-saving.
Galela Natural Immune Booster Oil, protecting your family from viruses and illnesses.
Sanibonani igama lami uZindola from Ukhozi FM. Ugalela lo nguphethe bakwethu kufanele nuthenge nusebenzise amaconsi njambalo owafaka emlonyeni ayasiza kwi-immune booster, uvuselela amasotsha omzimba, ngisho ukuthi uyawugcoba esikhumbeni uyaglowwa. Uyabona nje ngiyakutshela wena. So lana uma bethi unephika noma bethi uyakhwehlela uzokukhona into emphimbo uvela uthi nje mimilithi ugalela uzobona into zakho zizoqonda.
We go in another direction and we focus now on the diseases which are the major target of our present developments. Though we have presently two major targets, it's so-called immune diseases and so-called autoimmune diseases. Immune disease means something is attacking the nervous system and is not allowing or is giving wrong commands to the cell. A virus, let us consider very shortly the coronavirus, is flying through the air. You breathe it through mouth or through nose. Now this virus is a very clever guy, and he knows exactly where he wants to go. His virus is, such a virus is always interested to replicate himself. And this virus, corona, knows exactly my place of replication is in the lung to start this process. And I must go in the lung to a lung cell, and I must go there, my gate inside this cell is a so-called ACE2 receptor, means like a gate, and I have to go to this ACE2 receptor to go inside the cell, and when I am inside the cell, I know the way how to come to the nucleus, and when I am at the nucleus, I know the way how to go inside the DNA, and I give my DNA, in this case it's not a DNA, I give my RNA inside the cell. Now the cell mechanism is copying, and it's copying automatically myself, So I have a wonderful replication. And the next step is, a virus is usually a non-swimmer. He cannot swim, he cannot walk, he has no driving license, he doesn't know how to move. So he has to go in a blood vessel, and he has to swim in this blood vessel, or to drive in this blood vessel. He has to jump on a carrier, to sit on the carrier and to drive until he can leave the blood vessel to find another organ. Let us say, by example, he loves to find the heart, or he loves to go even to the brain. So when he is passing the heart, he will just jump from his carrier. He knows, I am now close to the heart, and he will look for a way to go outside. So in this case, what is Galela oil doing? Galela oil is number one, when the virus is going inside the nose or the mouth. He is meeting at first the mucosa, means the mucosis membrane inside the mouth, and he will be fixed there. Yeah? He will be fixed. He cannot run away. At first he will be fixed. He needs now certain enzymes to be released and to can start his travel to the lung. So Galela oil is working there at first like a glue. It is fixing the virus stronger to the mucosa, and it's not so easy for the virus to leave. Now let me say, some of the viruses are clever enough. They are leaving, and they are going now on their travel to the lung, and they are meeting their friend, the ACE2 receptor. They want now to go inside. But the ACE2 receptor is not sleeping, has a very high intention, and is discovering him. So this intention to discover him and not to allow him to go in is once more Galela oil. Galela oil has the capability to recognize a virus on the whole body, not only on a certain part. Like a policeman sees a video from a thief, but the thief has a mask, so he cannot recognize. But the policeman is finally recognizing the thief on the whole body. And that's what Galela oil is doing. Galela oil is recognizing the whole protein structure, and not only a single part of this protein structure, which is a problem on so-called mutations. We just learned it. Mutation of the coronavirus is our immune system still in a position to recognize, because a certain protein has been changed, a mutation. In our coronavirus example, we have around 1,200 proteins, and only 3 to 9 are mutated. So now Galela oil is recognizing the whole complex, not only the small part of mutation.
From Ukhozi FM, uGalela lo nguphethe bakwethu kufanele nuthenge nusebenzise amaconsi njambalo owafaka emlonyeni ayasiza uyi-immune booster, uvuselela amasotsha omzimba. Ngisho ukuthi uyawugcoba esikhumbeni uyaglowwa. Uyabona nje, ngiyakutshela wena. So lana uma bethi unephika noma bethi uyakhwehlela uzobe ukhona into empimbo, uvela uthi nje mimiliti ugalela, uzobona into zakho zizoqonda.
Now, Galela oil is recognizing the whole complex and is stopping this immune disease. So the virus cannot replicate himself and cannot cause further damages. So on the pain process, the pain is signaled to the brain. The brain is giving the answer to a certain organ in the right speed and with the right messages. So the specialized organ or the organ in general can react on the pain and can develop pain strategies. We see this very good on the example of so-called phantom pains. If you get amputated your right arm, there are a lot of patients which have, after the amputation, still pain in the right finger. But you cannot have normally pain in the right finger because you don't have the arm anymore. So this so-called phantom pain is a problem which takes part in the brain. That's why a lot of scientists are recommending not to make an amputation anymore under a full narcosis, but only under a local narcosis that the brain recognizes I get an amputation. What Galela oil is doing now, Galela oil, we have the result that this phantom pain is reduced significantly, like other kinds of pain. That obviously through the passing of the brain blood threshold, Galela oil is influencing in the cortex, that the cortex is recognizing exactly in which part the pain is existing and that this part is not anymore available to feel pain. On the example of an Alzheimer patient, as I told you, with delayed signal, it's managing that the signal is received quick enough to show a reaction. These pain signals are very, very important because we have certain organs which are not passing on pain signals at all, like the pancreas. If you feel pain in the pancreas, it's too late. You have not more than 3 to 8 months to live. Or the liver which is not passing pain at all. You must imagine if you drink an alcohol and the pain would always signal you have pain, I have to work too much because you were drinking alcohol. It's very bad. Pain has other signs. The pain is showing a yellow color in your eyes or at your skin. So the pain is very important. And Galela oil is regulating the pain evaluation in the brain and is regulating the pain transmission through the brain to the relevant organ. So next to the normal immune diseases, we have so-called autoimmune diseases where your immune system is attacking own body cells, not recognizing that these body cells are in reality normal friends. Like the army is attacking own soldiers by getting a wrong warning signal and the soldiers are killed or are running in the wrong direction. So Galela oil is influencing these autoimmune diseases, which we see very clear on the example of arthritis, by example, or of psoriasis. Psoriasis and arthritis are autoimmune diseases which are cured by Galela Oil. I must be careful with the word cured, especially with regards to psoriasis. We have had just treated some patients, and psoriasis is very difficult, nearly impossible. There is no cure. It is depending as well on the body temperature, and concerning the body temperature, we made the experience with Galela Oil that Galela Oil is regulating and is influencing the body temperature. And concerning the psoriasis as well, Galela Oil is influencing the vitamin D and subtype production. Vitamin D is essential for the human body. It is produced by photosynthesis through the skin. And this photosynthesis has a very high effect and is practically as well important because the mankind, when it started, was dark brown. Then we have developed light brown and so-called white, only as a protection concerning the photosynthesis. If we have too much sun, we may produce too much vitamin D. If we have too less sun, we are not producing sufficient vitamin D. So that's why if the first man or woman left their home in Africa and they went to areas where there is not so much sun, they have to develop a chain mutation to make the skin lighter, to receive sufficient sun for the process of photosynthesis. Otherwise they would have died, and I'm sure there were dying a lot of people on this way. And modern scientists are convinced that due to the change of the sun intensity, we are all going back to dark brown skin to secure overproduction of, or to save us from an overproduction of vitamin D through the influence of too intensive sun. Scientists are estimating a period between 3,000 and 10,000 years. We will be all dark brown. Other colors have developed a red color or a yellow color to protect the same process of photosynthesis. So in certain diseases, we need this balance, this homeostasis. And Galela Oil has a huge influence. And the secret of the efficacy is basically to create this homeostasis. Now, concerning the scientific development, we are developing Galela Oil under all the aspects of safety for the patient. We are developing it at first on computer simulation, then we go in vitro, we consider the contacts of cell to cell, and finally we go in vivo, means we go to the animal. We have developed own mouse models and pork models, and then we are going to the human being.
Hi everyone, my name is Sazile Zuma. I am here today to talk about Galela Immune Booster. My story with Galela started in November of last year when I was visiting home, and a week after having spent spent time at my home, we found out that both parents had contracted the virus and had tested positive for corona. So obviously it was a scary situation because we live in a family of 5 in the same house, and then now we had been touching each other and interacting with each other as a family all the way around. So once they tested positive, it became a situation where we had to find alternatives, and the whole family had to test, and then fortunately for us as kids, which there are 4 of us in the family, we had not contracted the virus. So we were referred by a friend of my father's to actually try out Galela as an immune booster, so that whilst the parents are under isolation, we have a better chance of not contracting the virus if we stay on Galela, as it boosts the immune system and everything that is required in the system to fight all sorts of stuff, because it's good for cancer, it's good for HIV patients, it's good for anti-inflammatory. But obviously, as we know now in this world that we live in, the current situation and the current virus that is taking everyone is this coronavirus. So it does not only serve a purpose of helping those who have contracted the virus, but it also serves as an immune booster for those who haven't contracted the virus, because at that point, we and my siblings and myself, we started taking the oil, which is Galela. We started taking the oil, 10 drops, 5 drops here now and again, but you have to take them in the morning and at night, depending on how you're feeling, because you know your body and how and what's going on around it. So we started taking it and we've never stopped. So when the second round of testing came by, we all went together as a family. We tested, and then everyone tested negative. So we've just never stopped using it until then, and then there's never been any problems whatsoever with regards to us and the coronavirus or anything, or any symptom associated with it. So I highly recommend anyone who's had a family member, who's had a friend or anybody that has contracted the virus, they know of it and they've been in contact with them. We will never be sure what happens, or either you're gonna get it or not, but just to safeguard yourself and make sure that everything is alright in your body. This, my friend, you will never go wrong. Galela Immune Booster. It is an immune booster, and as they say, prevention is better than cure. Thank you.
When the virus comes home,
I'm okay. He's trying to dodge food.
Corona found the product. The product did not find Corona.
I'm Dr. Bulato. Here's your Galela oil.
Oh, yeah.
Please take it. It's life-saving.
Galela Natural Immune Booster Oil, protecting your family from viruses and illnesses.